Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, my networking students, or should I say my network engineers. How are you doing? How is the break going? I hope you're all doing good. Today, inshallah, we are going to treat something interesting. And before I introduce today's topic, we discussed something of networking cable last week. We talked about the types of networking cables, which are crossover cable, twisted pair cable, and optical fiber or fiber optics cable. So now, today we are going to talk about Ethernet cabling, the cables we use to connect our devices together. The cables we use in connecting our devices together. Our devices cannot just be like that, communicating with one another, and we want to connect them together. It has to be through a cable. So, at the end of today's lesson, we should be able to list the types of Ethernet cables, state the functions of straight-through cable, state the functions of crossover cable, and be able to identify RJ45 connector. Let's dive into the topic. Types of cables. We have three major types of cables, Ethernet cables. The first one is a straight-through cable. The second is a crossover cable. And the third one is the rollover cable. So in this lesson, we are going to talk about them one after the other. For the straight-through cable and the crossover cable look similar, but if you don't have the knowledge of the straight-through and the crossover cable, you might think they are the same. So, straight-through cable, this is how it looks like. You can be able to tell using this diagram to know. You can be able to tell which of them is straight through and which of them is crossover, but this is how it looks like. The straight through cable looks like this. We have the both ends terminated with a connector. I know this is not a strange cable to us. They are all cables we are familiar with. The next one we are going to talk about. Okay, still on straight through cable. That is crossover cable, sorry. The crossover cable also looks like this. So you can know the difference as I said earlier. And the third one is the rollover cable. And it looks like this. It looks like this. The one of the end is terminated with a connector, and the other one looks like that of the VGA cable. Then the straight through cable. The straight through cable, these are the cable that are connect the similar devices. They are used to connect the similar devices, and the similar devices such as computer to a switch, router to a switch, and so on. So here on this diagram, we have a hub connected to different computers. A hub connected to different computers using this kind of cables, using straight through cable. Here's a picture of a straight through cable. We know that this device and this other device, that is the hub here or a switch, and the computer here are not similar. So a straight through cable are used to connect any device that is not similar, or devices that are not similar. Now coming to crossover cable. What are these crossover cable? They are cables that are used to connect similar devices such as switch to switch, hub to a hub, computer to a computer, router to a computer. But please, let's take note of this. A router is also a computer, so that's why we use a straight through cable. But if we go by the definition, it's supposed to be a straight through cable, but we use a crossover cable to connect a router to a computer. Here's an lab diagram. The similar crossover cable are used to connect these two switch together, the two switch or the hubs together. Then we have two computers connected through crossover cable. So this crossover cable now allows us to be able to communicate with one another. That means if I want to connect just two computers so that they can be able to communicate with one another, I will use the crossover cable. That means Uncle Alabi's computer and Uncle Suleiman Albaji's computer can be able to communicate using what we call a crossover cable. But where there an instance where we have plenty computers and we just know that we have only one NIC port here and another NIC port here, by such we know that we don't have any other NIC port. Every computer has a single NIC port. So now we can now connect this computer to a hub, another computer to a hub. So from there, and another computer again to a hub. Let's say we have how many computers? 10 computers. We'll connect all of them to a hub so they can be able to communicate. But just two computers, we can connect them to one another using a crossover cable. The summary of what we've said so far: we said two devices that are not similar can be connected using a straight through cable, and two network devices that are similar we use crossover cable with them, with the exception of this router here. And we say the router is also a computer. That's why we are using a crossover cable for it. The next point is the RJ45. What is this RJ45? Can somebody tell me? Okay. RJ45, it is also known as what? The registered jack. Registered jack. This is a type of cable connector that is used to connect cables to a computer on the network. They are used to connect cables to a computer on a network. Here's a picture of an RJ45, and here's another one with a cable. So the cable has been connected to the RJ45. I know you must have been saying this, but you don't know what the connector is called. So it is RJ45. So the connection of the both end makes it whether it is a through cable or a straight through cable or a crossover cable. So here are other RJ45s. This is how it looks like before it is being connected to a cable, and here's the connected one. So our assignment is going to be like this. The first one, we should define what is NIC and what does NIC stand for. Where does MAC address come from? Do we know it? I know we did this in last two topic. So dash can be used to connect two switches together. What type of cable can be used to connect two switches together? Then dash can be used to connect a switch and a hub. What kind of cable can be used to connect a switch and a hub? Dash can be used to connect a router to a router. Dash can be used to connect a PC to a PC. and how many wires are there in a twisted pair cable. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day ahead.